In his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, Nobel Prize-winning economist Daniel Kahneman explained his theory that there were two different systems by which the brain operates, in theory and all being well. System 1 is fast, instinctive and emotional. System 2 is slower, more deliberative, more logical. Both serve a purpose, and catastrophe will ensue if only one mode is preferred or if one is disabled altogether. If you shut down System 1 and you're unable to react swiftly when someone throws a punch, disable System 2 and we may find we're getting into a lot more fights than we used to in the first place. News, too, comes in two speeds. Fast news is the kind that requires an instant response, block or duck. Reporting from the scene, hastily assembled briefing notes on context and possible implications, followed up, of course, on GBNews by reaction and comment by the experts and the columnists. And then, more often than not, an early expiry date. The news goes stale and is quietly scraped into the bin or onto the compost heap of history. This is the kind of news that is part of the news cycle, as it is sometimes known, and sometimes it lasts only a day or two and very rarely more than a week. This is not a new idea. In fact, Wikipedia says it dates back to the 1920s, but there is little doubt that it has speeded up with the advent of 24-hour news TV reporting, social media, and our notoriously shortening attention spans as a result. Then there is the kind of news that reflects changes beneath the surface, beneath the waves, if you like, the slow-moving but powerful currents in the oceans of information we all swim in. This rarely has the potential to grab us. Without a specific event to alert our lookouts or convince our internal editors to make it the splash, these currents rarely make it onto the front pages of our attention, but they have the potential to change our world far more profoundly than the latest royal Netflix drama, madcap scheme to deter channel crossings, or a tragic but random domestic gas explosion. Many such trends, such as climate change, remain controversial precisely because they rely so heavily on modelling and speculation and lack the obvious concrete events that would not only make the news but prove the larger-scale theories correct. Others, such as demographic change, the ageing population and the decline of religion and the traditional family structure, are also easily ignored, and with some relief, to be honest, because to draw attention to them seems almost distasteful and rude, made up as they are of millions of tiny, quite properly private individual decisions. Yet, slow as they are, these are the forces that are creating the conditions in which many of the faster news items that so agitate us arise, such as crises in the health service, productivity, and the cost of living. One such change, one force that I would like to talk about today on my special day in the Dan Wootton Memorial Throne, is the growth of what is broadly described as artificial intelligence and its impact on the way we live, work and find meaning in our lives. Now, experts can argue over exactly what is and is not AI, but the capacity of machines of one kind or another, computers by any other name, to quietly take over jobs and duties that until 5 minutes ago were assumed by humans is relentless. And we need to start talking about it. Sometimes these effects would appear to be entirely benevolent. Only yesterday, for instance, several front pages carried the news that AI, in truth just algorithms, but whatever, AI would be able to anticipate how long hospital procedures would take and how soon patients could therefore leave afterwards. This, it is anticipated, would enable a more efficient use of hospital resources, especially of beds. And if this works according to a plan, only a crank could find cause to complain, of course. But what about the AI that can create what appears to be incredible original illustrations from a simple verbal prompt and looks likely to go through the world of commercial art like a swarm of locusts? What about the AI chatbots that can fulfill the functions of everything from a call centre to a tutor to an essay cheat at zero cost and are probably coming for my autocue quite soon, with nothing left for humans to do beyond the 21st century equivalent of lift attendants wearing a hat that entitles you to push the buttons? What about radiographers, superseded overnight by programs better able to spot cancer in an X-ray than they ever can after 7 years of rigorous training, and indeed to spot more details about the patient than they even thought possible? We've all been talking about driverless cars as long as we've been talking about nuclear fusion and energy that's too cheap to meter. And the fact that they've stayed at a fixed point on the horizon has blinded us to the approach of other equally disruptive forces in our lives. No doubt they will arrive one day. But in the meantime, 1,000 less obvious tasks are being quietly automated too. Are humans going to be like the coal miners' sons who found newer, cleaner, less back-breaking work in the services industries? Or are they going to be like the horses who went to live on the farm? Are we ready to become redundant? Even if taxation on robots could be imposed on the companies that improve productivity by eliminating tiresome human beings, and that could be used to fund universal basic income. Surely Freud was not the only person to see that work and the sense of being needed, being productive in oneself, is as essential to mental health as fresh air, eye contact and touch. Learning to code is not an option for everyone. Do we really know quite where we're going here? Are we really sure it's where we want to go?